The Shabbos that occurs during the intermediate days of Pesach is one of the quintessential Shabboses. It's the day that all branches of Judaism read the Shir HaSharim. This is the quintessential expression of the linkage between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Jewish people. It's the ultimate form of marriage. It shows the permanent, ultimate link between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Jewish people. This occurs after the Jews left Mitzrayim. During their 6 days and then the 7th day of then the splitting of the Red Sea. This is the most miraculous time, the creation of the Jewish people, the birth of the Jewish people. And in that birth shows the marriage, because in the final analysis, "40 days before you're born, your mate is decided for you." These are miraculous concepts. The whole idea here of Shabbos as being that link, that tie-in beyond the concept of creation, previous to creation, like the additional soul that comes in on Shabbos, that its origin is from the light that is reserved for the righteous, previous to the 6 days of creation, previous to Bereshis. Barashis created 6. That's the letter Vav, that's the 6 days of creation. But there's an aspect that's not necessarily deeper, because there's nothing that's deeper than the 6 days of creation. Because those 6 days of creation have their source in the 7th concept of the light previous to where the source of the 7th came from, and that's Ein Sof. Ein Sof or Gematria 207, Ein Sof Gematria 207. There's a natural link between this light that comes in as the neshama of the additional soul that comes in for the righteous, and its source in Ein Sof. We taste this every Shabbos in the idea of rest. There is no creation, no labor on Shabbos. Labor is a creation for the benefit of man, so that he can build things within these 6 days and levels below. What great pleasures there are as an expression of these higher aspects of this concept of rest as the source of labor. Rest, nun het, as Noach, as the source of work, of doing. But remember, there's a source. And that source is what we are asked to do, to plug into on Shabbat. We're supposed to plug into the source beyond work and labor. There's a source where all is given to you. If you can return to that concept, that's the beauty of the Sabbath rest. It's not a rest in a certain sense. It's a rest where you plug into the source, plug into your godliness aspect, especially in the additional soul. There's a light that comes in, this additional soul beyond you, so to speak, encircling lights that you can't fathom. You're able to maybe get 1/60th of that light, even on Shabbat. Shabbat has 1/60th of the world to come. One-60th is the Aleph of the Samach, 60. The Notarakon here, the Rosh Tivo, is Aleph Samach, 1 and 60. Ein Sof, Aleph Samach. All 1 and 60s relate to this Aleph, related to Samach. A beautiful concept here. The marriage that occurs for the Jewish people on this Shabbos of Chol HaMoed, of Pesach, is one of the greatest concepts. For me, I like to say Shia HaShirim every Erev Shabbos as a reflection, but some Nusach don't do that. They only say it on the Shabbat of Pesach. So as we approach that, we feel this ultimate Shabbat consciousness of the additional soul coming in. The ultimate marriage between man and woman. Man is Vav, woman is Zion. The left and the right of the Het, which actually occurs on the 7th day of Pesach. As the expression, it's the 6th day of the Omer, the 7th day of Pesach, and that's the splitting of the Red Sea, and it's made into a huppah, the 2 walls on either side, and the dome above, almost as the top of the Het, and the Jewish people walk through the center of these 2 walls on the dry land. It looks like a letter Het that occurs on the 7th day of Pesach, which is the 6th day of the Omer for the Vav and Zion, as a great expression here of this huppah that occurs, and this is one of the great miracles. The miracle is this huppah that comes out of nowhere, so to speak. This also expressed in the Song of Songs read on Shabbat of this period. Remember, there are 2 creations, one the creation of the world in Bereshit, and then the creation of the Jewish people in the coming out of Mitzrayim, Pesach. These Jewish people are the ones that we get married. The ultimate expression of the Shabbos, because that's what we're coming out for, to receive Torah and to receive the Shabbos light. So the thing that differentiates the Jewish people from other people is the concept of Shabbos as an oath. The other oaths of Tefillin and Bris also relate exactly to the coming out of Mitzrayim. When we put on Tefillin every day, was in the prayers of it, it's a remembrance of the coming out of Mitzrayim. When we do the Bris, the coming out of Mitzrayim is also emphasized in that before we came out of Mitzrayim, we didn't do Priya. We only did Milah. So these two aspects also have the idea of coming out of Mitzrayim. And the Shabbos is the concept of the coming out of Mitzrayim, because that's what Moses wanted Pharaoh to let us do in Mitzrayim, was to observe a Shabbos, a day of rest, and he wouldn't let us have rest. So the whole point of the exit, the coming out of Mitzrayim, the coming out of limitations of work and hard bondage and of labor, which is corresponding to 6 secular days, those we needed a rest. We needed to be energized by the concept of Shabbos to spread through those other 6 days, to turn those 6 days, those mundane work days, into 6 days of work pervaded by holiness and Kedusha. He wouldn't let us have it, so the whole idea of Mitzrayim is Shabbos. And this first Shabbos of coming out of Mitzrayim is when we do the Shir HaShirim, which is the wedding song, the ultimate song. Every verse in Shir HaShirim is related to the Aleph and the Hey. The Aleph as HaKodesh Baruch Hu, and the Hey as the Jewish people. The Aleph as the masculine, sometimes not even stated, and then the feminine stated. These are some deep concepts here. Let's not get too far afield. The Shabbos is the Jewish people. The entire concept of Shabbos is the Jewish people. Everything can be related to this Shabbos. Without the Shabbos, there are no Jewish people. Let's get that straight. It's a hologram. Know one thing, you've known it all. Everything relates to Shabbos. These few words here show that the Pesach is the Shabbos. The Omer, the counting of 7 Shabboses, 7 weeks, is the Shabbos. The 7th day of Pesach has its own Shabbos, its own Shabbos and its own marriage of the Jewish people that occur. Shabbos is a gift. It's not a labor, not a work. It's a gift. Like the Matan Torah, The whole point of Matan Torah is the Matan Shabbos. Find your own means of expression and of concept of this deepest concept.